And in other election news, in the gubernatorial race, Governor Ned Lamont is running for a third term. But for the first time since taking office, he's being primaried. And one of his opponents is State Representative Josh Elliott. Fox 61's Bridget Burelow spoke one-on-one with both candidates.
You've seen the fiery ads in the race for Connecticut governor as Democrats decide on their nominee. Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont is seeking a rare third term, something not done in more than 20 years. But Connecticut State Representative Josh Elliott says it's time for a new direction.
The race for the Democratic nomination for governor is heating up, with both campaigns flooding the airwaves with sharp attack ads as primary day draws near.
You know what they say, politicians are like diapers. Change them often and for the same reason.
Josh Elliott has missed 240 votes.
Incumbent Governor Ned Lamont says he wants to finish the work he started by building on the state's economic momentum and investments in education, housing, and health care.
We balanced the budget 8 times in a row. More money for education, more money to invest in people, early childhood endowment. I want to get that over the finish line. And I've got one big piece of unfinished business, health care costs. I want affordable health care for everybody.
Health insurance is a signature issue for primary challenger Josh Elliott. So much so that the state representative from Hamden wants to do away with the industry altogether.
How do you square that with us standing in Hartford, the insurance capital of the world, with many people voting in this primary who work in the insurance industry?
Yes. What I find about people that work in the insurance industry is they actually agree with what I'm saying. We have massive market failures. You can spend one night in the hospital, it could be $50,000. Obviously, the system doesn't work. And so we can't just say there's nothing that we can do. We, of course, absolutely can. And so what we do is we create a public option. We bring people onto the state plan, we grow it bigger and bigger and bigger, and we do that as a public-private partnership until the point is we're big enough, we say, no, thank you, we don't need you anymore, and we do it ourselves.
Lamont is running on his record, making the case that his leadership has put Connecticut on strong financial footing at a time when cost of living is a focus for voters.
When you talk to voters across the board, affordability is the top concern. More and more people struggling to get by, pay the bills. They say it's affecting their quality of life. What will you do as a third-term governor?
Well, we eliminated the income tax for working families. I just came from an event where we've raised the minimum wage as of January 1 to about $17.50. One of the highest in the country. When I talk about affordability, start by paying people more and then build more housing. You're not serious about affordability unless you have more housing where people can get their first home and a roof over their head.
Elliott says he's the progressive candidate on the ballot with fresh energy and ideas.
We no longer can be dealing with somebody who holds our state back. That's Ned Lamont. I think it's time for a change.
He's pledging to make Connecticut more livable for the middle class by adding a 4% surcharge on income more than $1 million and tax and capital gains at a higher rate.
I'm willing to take on these fights for the families of Connecticut that are struggling day in, day out. The quick things are the taxes. That's because that is what we have control over right here, right now. We ask the wealthy to pay their fair share. We send significantly more money back to our municipalities. It brings down property taxes. It helps out working families.
With the campaign growing increasingly contentious, both candidates are on the offense as they urge Democrats to turn out and make their voices heard.
And for critics that say, oh, you're not progressive enough, what do you say to them?
Those critics were here in the Capitol building long before I got here. They never got a minimum wage increase like we did. They never got paid family and medical leave. They never got universal early childhood education. Talk is cheap. Look what we've done.
The fact is, the message I'm talking about of making life easier for people, this is a message that works. And the reason I know that is because Ned Lamont has wholesale been taking our entire message and running as though he's a progressive Democrat, which is great because it means that more people are aware of what we're talking about. The problem is that we actually elect him, he won't do any of the things that he's saying he'll do.
The winner of the primary will advance to November's general election to face Republican nominee Ryan Fazio.
Latest polling gives Governor Lamont a 21-point edge over Elliott. Early voting continues through this Sunday with primary election day Tuesday, August 11th. And a reminder for you that you must be registered to a party to vote in Connecticut's primary. In Hartford, Bridget Burelow, Fox 61.